A testimony that could take up a half hour. But since we don't have that kind of time today, I'll just give you the highlights. When I was growing up, there was a family that lived next door to me that I was very close to for about 8 years, starting at the age of 12. I called them mom and dad. Their kids were like my siblings. They'd introduced me as their adopted child. A month after my 16th birthday, I started being sexually abused by the father of the family. And since I was a lonely kid, insecure, didn't have a lot of friends, I let him put me through 4 years of misery. And it pretty much ruined high school for me. I spent a lot of nights crying myself to sleep. I went off to college without dealing with it. And since I had a roommate, I didn't want to be crying all the time, so I tried to control my depression by smoking pot all the time. That way, as soon as I hit the bed at night, I'd pass out right away before I had time to cry. I ended up dropping out after the first semester of my sophomore year. I went back to work full time. Met a guy 20 years older than me that I almost married. He would be part of the half-hour testimony. But knowing that I would have him with me through whatever I would have to go through, I ended up telling my parents finally. And in the summer of 2001, I reported it. And I had to sit down with a detective for 2 hours and go over every detail I could possibly remember. Once the court hearing started, I had to take the witness stand and give a horrible testimony that no kid should ever have to give, and no parent should ever have to listen to. And everything was all said and done in July of 2002. It was about a year-long process. And just when I thought my life was about to get easier, the very next month, August 4th of 2002, my boyfriend and I were leaving a party in the Brooks, Oxford area. I was taking a county highway home I'd never driven before, didn't see the stop sign, and hit another vehicle going about 50 miles an hour and killed the driver. Almost killed my boyfriend. He was med-flighted to Madison, and I went home with nothing more than a fractured sternum. So from there, I just pretty much went on with my life of self-destruction. And in October of 2007, my sister moved away to Colorado, and she'd been my roommate, so I ended up moving back in with my parents. And one day they sat me down and asked me, if they ever to set up a meeting with Pastor Tom, if I would sit down and talk to him. And I agreed. And I think within the first 15 minutes of our meeting together, we had figured out that I hadn't dealt with any of the stuff that I had been through. I'd just been living with it. I tried to lock it all up in a closet, hoping I could walk away from it, and I couldn't. And when I left that day, for the first time, I think ever, I just let myself get angry. I just became furious over what I had been through. I wanted to go to this guy's house and just scream at him and ask him, do you realize what you have done to me? Do you even care? And Pastor Tom suggested I start seeing a counselor, and after all my sessions, come back and talk things over with him. And after many tears and many healing prayers, God started to turn my life around. I learned how to forgive. I had seen what God had done to my parents since they had been saved, and I knew I wanted that for myself. And I started going to church regularly again. Started going to Bible study. Started praying. As my self-confidence started to increase, my parents enrolled me in a Dale Carnegie training course where I learned leadership and public speaking skills. I had to get up and talk in front of class, every class. And I did so well at it that my class voted for me for the highest award of achievement on graduation day. And I found myself jamming the gospel music, and I was getting in debates with an atheist at work and being totally energized by it. And I started giving 10% of my money to God. I knew it was my job as a Christian. I was supposed to serve. So I joined the Big Brothers Big Sisters program this year. I come to church every Wednesday and eat with some pretty cool kids at Logos. And I I volunteer at our nursing home, but I spend even more time at the Reedsburg Nursing Home with my grandmother's Alzheimer's. And overall, I just became more comfortable with who I was as a person and happy with the person God has turned me into. And because of the strength He has given me, I'm able to stand here in front of all you and share my story. And 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been comfortable standing up here and telling you that it was sunny outside. But 2 years ago, Pastor Tom did an altar call, and I had no idea what that was because it's nothing our church was really familiar with before then. And we were sitting in the first 2 rows, and the woman across from us got up and walked up here. My parents got up, so I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm going to get up because I don't want to be the only one left in this place sitting in my seat. So I came up here and I kneeled down at the altar. And I kind of rolled my eyes to the left and rolled my eyes to the right and realized nobody else was coming. And then I felt like a real butthead because I knew I shouldn't have been there either. Because I didn't feel at that time I was ready to make the commitment, and I was only there because I thought everybody else was going to be up there. But on Good Friday, that's my first opportunity since then to come to the altar. And I was coming whether anybody else was or not, because I was going to do it right this time. I told God I loved Him, and I read the prayer response with everyone else, and I meant it this time. And I have no idea what this new road I'm on is going to bring me, but I know where I'm going to be at the end of it. And I know that along the way, God will always be with me, and He's going to use my situation